Welcome to the Freud's Angels weekly reading, bringing the collective guidance and understanding for this week's energy.
Remember, never give your power up to a reader or a reading. You always have the power of autonomy. Hey, angels, welcome to your weekly reading. This is for the week of God knows when, September 8th through the 14th.
That's what
We're
it
in
feels like.
September.
Does it not feel like God knows when? Like, I don't know where we are. I was writing August on things the other day. It was Friday. I thought it was Tuesday. I mean, I don't know what's going on in my world, but time is not a
Yeah.
thing.
It's kind of been like this warped time feeling of everything. But I think, not to get into the tangent, but we're both in a space of shifting. And
Mhm.
because we're energetically shifting and physically shifting, but it's directed so much by the energy that it's like we're not physically in our human 3D life. We're kind of in dual planes of change and shift and transformation. So
Mm,
it makes sense why we're both like, I don't know what a day it is.
absolutely. Well, and I know for me, I've been doing a lot of quantum jumping meditations.
Okay.
And, like, I'm pretty sure I fell asleep during it last night, but then I woke up and I was like, "I don't know what happened." There was obviously, like, a hypnosis. I have no idea where I was. I have no idea what I did. I don't know what I've manifested during that because I don't remember any of it, right? So it's like the idea of, like, kind of shifting or trying to jump timelines, it's real because now I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, now I don't know where I am,"
Right? Right?
which is hopefully a good thing. We'll see.
Oh my gosh. Vanessa, what are the mermaids telling us this week?
The mermaids have been, and I'm not gonna say boring, but they've been very repetitious lately. I feel like they keep giving us the same messages in rotation. And y'all, I tried to put this card back in the deck and it came back out. And I was just like, okay, then I guess that we're just going to keep talking about this over and over again. It is the miracles card. It's his
Oh,
comeback around. I mean, I swear, when if we go back and look at it, I think probably the same like 7 cards just keep coming out, and I have got
yeah.
a whole deck, but it is what it is. So the miracles card, I mean, pretty feels like it should be self-explanatory, but like I've always told people, the thing I love so much about oracle cards is that you can read it. It feels like, you read the energy at the moment intuitively, and it could bring all kinds of different things. I can look at the card and see something different. Grace can look at the card and feel something different, and they're all valid. And that's what I love about oracle cards. I feel like because I pulled this with the collective in mind, it is because right now people don't feel miracles happening. People
No.
feel the opposite of miracles happening. People feel like doom and gloom and wet blanket and all kinds of just like negative energy floating around.
Oh,
I do
yeah.
feel like, we've had the Paralympics and the Olympics going on, and that was like a little bit of a break in it because we got to watch what feels like miracles, right? And so we watched people who have achieved amazing things that like I can't imagine. To me, that's miraculous. I watched yesterday a um a blind track race, and I can't believe I mean, they have a runner next to them that runs as fast as them and tells them where to go and what to do. They're blind and they don't run into each other. And it was fascinating. To me, that's miraculous. And so this card, I feel like, is coming out to remind us of that,
Yeah.
that miracles are not answers to problems, which is what I think we constantly are thinking of. I need a miracle, right? Like one of my favorite Grateful Dead songs, I need a miracle every day. Like, because, like we do have miracles every day, but we have to see them, and they're not always going to be our miracles. But if we can kind of look at things that feel expansive, that feel like they are outside of the norm for us, we can see that as kind of miraculous. Like,
Yep.
wow, I can't maybe fathom that. And so that is miraculous to me versus using a miracle only as a way out of something that's negative, which is 100% what I think that we're always talking about. When I need a miracle, which means I'm in a bad spot and I need something that I totally don't believe could
Right.
happen out of
Right.
this bad spot to happen. But that's not how it works, because we talk about manifestation all the time. If we stay in the negative energy, it's really hard to get out of it. But if we can look around and fill our hearts with all of the other miracles that exist, we open our hearts for the miracles for us to exist, and we can see them.
Yeah.
My daughter's a miracle, like in more than one way. Our life is a miracle in more than one way. And it doesn't have to be big, grand gesture. Some of those are in there, but every day is a miracle. I need a miracle every day. I have a miracle every day. Waking up without an alarm clock, miracle, right? Like
Yeah.
to, to 10 years ago, me, absolute miracle, right? And if I can see that, it helps me stay in a magical place of creation, of understanding that there's so much expansiveness to come if I stay open to it, if I allow myself to believe that sudden shifts and long term shifts and all kinds of things are possible. I'm going to be more apt to take random direction, to allow myself to do things on an inkling versus getting an inkling and then telling my brain that that's not going to do anything for me.
Yeah.
So I really feel it like so strongly when I look at the card that that's what we need right now, because of all the focus that we have on the non-miracles, all the media, all the disruption, all of the separation and things that we're dealing with right now. It's very non-miraculous, and in order to shift that tide, we have to be able to see both sides and intentionally look for the places where there's light and miraculous existence.
Yep. Because it helps us, right?
Mm,
And I really feel that because I have been recently and in some ways still am in a space where I beg for the miracles because I was suffering and because
mm,
some ways I am still suffering, but
mm.
it's not like if you're in those spaces, understand it's not good or bad, but understand that when you've come out of those situations or in your everyday life, your day-to-day life, the more you do what Vanessa said, look at the miracles, find the miracles in the everyday life. When you have a moment when you're in high stress and you're like just begging for the miracle, you're more likely to do it from a place of trust and knowing than you are from that space of desperation. And it's not to say that either is bad or wrong. It's just to say that it it feels like it comes easier to us if we can recognize it from an everyday standpoint, the little miracles. Like the other day I went outside to get my mail and there's we have spiders here in North Carolina, and there's all these little spiders, and I'm just looking at them and I'm like, wow, you just live and then people take down your webs and then you come back and rebuild them and you just keep going. I mean, just in how nature supports itself. I mean, that's a miracle in itself. None of these
100%. Oh my god.
animals or insects or birds have like Wi-Fi and fucking
Yeah.
5G phones and like cars and shit. We're the only species that decided that
Yeah.
we needed all these things but nature supports itself. And I think when we need that reminder of miracles and that support, going outside and like just watching nature handle its business, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've always done that when I used to work in rehabs, because I was in the detox more times than not. And that's like to me one of the hardest levels for people, because it's like the most raw. um, we would talk, and every time I had to lead a spirituality group, I would get the religion talk. People would be like, "I don't believe in God, because why would God do this to me?" And it's like, okay, you don't have to believe in God the way that people taught you how to believe in God, but do you believe that that tree is something miraculous? You did nothing to grow that tree. Nobody did anything to grow that tree. It just exists there, and
Yeah.
it does everything, and then it grows nuts, and that feeds the squirrels, and like that's amazing. And nobody did anything. Right? Like, so if you can't believe in that, believe in the fact that there's something else, something else that can happen in this world that's outside of us, and just let that exist. You don't have to hold on to it. You don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to every day talk about it. Just remember that there's other stuff that exists than what you're experiencing. And yeah, like it's hard, right? Like cuz like you said, sometimes we're very much in our mud, and
Yeah.
it's hard to see the outside of that mud, but we'll get there. I mean, that's the thing about it, right? It's not right or wrong, either
Yeah.
path that we take, because we will get there.
Yep.
But when we're intentional about saying, okay, I do want the faster, easier path, right?
Yes.
And it tends to be the
Yeah.
gratitude and miracles believing path.
Yep.
I'm going to try that and see what happens.
100%. Yep. So our surrender card this week is called Surrender to Inner Peace.
Mm.
Now, I think it goes along with the miracles and the everyday things of, you know, let me read it for you. Cultivate inner peace on a daily basis. In quiet, meditative moments, focus on the stillness within and enjoy this inner refuge. Others will feel your good vibes too, and your life will flow more easily. So, from experiencing what I've been experiencing for the past month, and well, really for the past 4 months, really. I mean, I've been in this. It's hard to find inner peace, but and it's also hard, I think, that those of us who struggle with inner peace, it's because when we sit down to find it, to get quiet with ourselves, our brain automatically goes into deflect mode because it's afraid of what's there. And if we get in touch with that inner peace, then shit's gonna fall apart. And so there's a deflection. There's a we my brain's excuse is, well, you deserve to sit and watch TV and play your games on your tablet. Like you deserve that. Like it's its way of kind of steering me into the direction of just not connecting with myself. And what I've noticed, and this happens to me, guys, I have been in this spiritual realm for a very long time. I still struggle with this. This is not, if you struggle with it, there's no shame, there's no blame, there's just
Mhm.
purely understanding. But, the more I step into trying and it just doesn't work. The more I feel disconnected from my life, the more I feel upset. It just feeds the cycle, right? The more
Mhm.
upset I am, the more sad, the more depressed, the more frustrated I am. The brain continues to keep that cycle going. And then there's no stop. There's no off, there's no off button or there's no, you know, off the carousel in a sense.
Mhm.
It's just this constant cycle. And I think the key to finding inner peace is to I call it when my brain's not paying attention. And that often is like if I'm working or if I'm writing or listening to music or I'm doing something that takes the brain out of my consciousness. And I just kind of for a second, I will just close my eyes and just try to just bring my energy back to myself. I'll just collectively and just for a few moments. And it's not hours, it's not minutes, it's not like, days. It's just tiny, tiny moments when my brain is focused somewhere else. I can kind of circumvent its trigger and kind of come to myself and just bring in that energy and just bring in that sense of I understand, I'm here, I got you. And it's sometimes hard to do when you're in it, but if you can find those tiny micro moments,
Mhm.
over time you can say to your brain, look, we took a second. The world didn't end if we were quiet for a minute. The world doesn't end if we don't scroll on social media for 3 hours. It's safe to be in these places, and it's really hard when you're triggered via trauma or just anything else, but it's necessary. And, especially if you suffer from sleep disruption and dreams and like all I do is dream really weird, wacky dreams,
Mhm.
like really strange. And so I don't ever feel like my brain turns off. It never turns off. And so, when I get moments with others, when I'm focused outward and not so much in my head and inner, I can just pause for just a second and just take that breath, call in that energy back, and allow myself that micro moment of peace. And it helps. It helps. It doesn't seem like it's a lot. People think, oh, you got to meditate for 20 minutes a day. Girl, I can't even sit down for 5.
Yeah.
And and I, So it's about learning where you can find the inner peace, like those moments, or maybe it's hanging out with your friend, or being on Zoom with a friend and chatting, or maybe it's just hanging out or just chatting with someone online, or something that takes you away from what's in your head, giving yourself the peace of just that moment of just, "Oh, okay, they've left the building, we can have a moment for ourselves."
Yeah.
So find the support in that. Find the support, inner support of yourself. I friends, oh, I can't tell you how frustrated I am with my brain and how I feel happy and joy and excited, and it just fucking triggers like it triggers for anger, upset,
Mm.
sadness, pain. And so it's a really hard thing to kind of maneuver through, but it's these micro moments that have kind of kept me going and kept me like, it's okay. I'm still tethered to myself, that keeps me in that forward motion of, this too is possible to heal. This too will pass. Like, kind of keeping the hope alive, so to speak.
Yeah, and I love the connection between the two of them, right? Because as you were talking about the moments of peace, I was like, "Ooh, like if you can't connect to the word miracle, right? Because we have the understanding of it, connect to the word peace because those moments of peace will lead you to moments of miracles, right?
Mhm.
Like when you were talking about like just moments, because a lot of people have that idea, right? Like in order to have peace, I've got to sit down and I've got to transcend into meditation, and like who's got fucking time for that most of the time, right? Like, not me. I mean, I try, right? And but it's not always there. But sometimes it's, today I'm having coffee. I haven't had coffee in forever. It's like every sip of coffee because I do love coffee. It's just not great for me. I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I love this. I love this. And it leads me to being like, I love that I can make this. I love that, and I'm able to like kind of open up to the moment. I'm allowing myself to take one thing that I usually take for granted and not take it for granted and see it as a beautiful piece of my life, right? Like, oh, I'm so thankful to just have a moment to sip my coffee, right? Or whatever it is, when I'm working out, like I'm thankful that like I'm doing something with my body, right? And
Yeah.
it turns into like a peaceful moment because I allow it to be a peaceful moment. And then it can connect me to miraculous moments, right? Because that train of thought can take me into, wow, I never thought this was possible. And now I'm in a miracle moment.
Yep. Yep. Those are miracles, friends. Not the big grand like, "Oh my god." It's them
Yeah.
too, but the
Yeah. And
miracles
sometimes we
are.
don't even trust those. I mean, if we're going to be
Yeah.
honest, like sometimes the big grand miracles that we think we want, we wouldn't trust anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah.
y'all
We
take what you can accept.
yeah, for sure. We hope that this week you find intentional moments of peace. Peace comes from intention, I think, and not just from outer. And may you see all of your miracles this week, no matter how big or small. Even you just existing on this earth is a miracle.
Amen.
And I know that's kind of overused, but it's true. It's like the fact that we evolved, and the fact that we're here, and that we're in this space of doing what we're doing, and even if we're struggling, but we're learning and we're connecting with people and we're finding resources and we're understanding our support systems and all those things that are happening, it's like, wow, okay, we're doing it. That
Yeah.
itself is a miracle.
It's
So,
and it's automatic.
yeah.
Conception is a miracle. I spent so much time studying fertility. Everybody on this earth truly is because the window that exists for you to actually be conceived is so small. It's amazing.
Yeah, out of thousands of little ones, little swimmers, you decided you were gonna be here. So,
Right when because that egg does not last for very long,
yep,
and that timing has to be perfect, and the
little did you know.
environment has to be perfect.
Yep.
It's amazing.
The acidity, the pH, the like, all the things have to
Everything.
be, like, right on. And, friends, I mean, I know you didn't know you'd be getting a biology lesson on fertility today, but here we go. But, it's everything is, I think, in some ways miraculous when we think about how we're connected to it, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
how we're connected to what we think is a miracle. And
Amen.
Yeah. So we love you guys. We hope you have a great week. Check out our podcast on Wednesday. We hope you'll be there. Love you guys.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for listening.
We hope we gave you something to support your journey.
Check out our Facebook or Instagram page to connect with us.
Have a great week.